Hello, welcome to the first lesson of our flipped classroom. We have two different objectives that we're going to look at today, so we'll just look at them one at a time. Our first objective, we want to be able to identify integers. Well, in order to be able to do that, there's a few vocab terms that we're going to have to know, so they're in here for us. What is an integer? Integer refers to whole numbers, which you should be familiar with, 0, 1, 2, 3, and going on, and their opposites. We're going to use the term opposite. Most of you are familiar with that. What does that mean in math? Well, let's take a look. In math, we're referring to the integer that is the same distance from 0, but it's on the other side, or the opposite side, if you will, of the number line. So down here, you see where I've drawn a number line. I have 0 written here in yellow because it is neutral. It's neither negative or positive. It's nothing. It's kind of its own category. On this side, this is probably what you'd be familiar with. In the younger grades, when you first learned to add, you might have learned on a number line, using the number line. So these are the numbers that we're used to seeing. 1, 2, 3, 4, our whole numbers or our counting numbers on this side. What we now add on this side is going the opposite way. We have the same kind of numbers, but you'll notice that they're going in the opposite direction. These are our negative integers, negative on this side. Now when we say opposite, don't always automatically think that means negative. Opposite just means the opposite side. If I gave you a negative number, its opposite would be positive, whereas a positive's number, its opposite would be the negative number. So what you'll notice is I've labeled two opposites for us. If we look here at the number 5, how far is it from 0? Well, if we count over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 5 digits from 0. If we go over on the other side, that means its opposite should be 5 digits from 0, but on the opposite side. So if we go over here, 5 digits on the opposite side of the line, we now have negative 5. It's kind of a mirror, if you will, over the 0. Our next objective that we want to look at is finding the absolute value of an integer. And again, let's get a definition here so we know what we're talking about when we say absolute value. Absolute value simply refers how far something is from 0. What is its distance from 0? And the symbol that you'll see written in math, erase those, is this right here. It's two straight lines. And the reason I had that other one on here was parentheses. Don't get these confused with parentheses. This is what I see happen sometimes. Parentheses are different. Sometimes you'll see those around a negative number just so you don't get confused and you know that the negative side goes with it. These are not the same. They're curved. That's a parenthesis. This is the absolute value sign, straight lines up and down around a number. All right, so again, I've drawn a number line for you here so that we can show this again. So the absolute value of 5. What I'm asking is how far from 0 is the number 5? How would we write that? We'd write it 5, and we'd have our two straight lines surrounding it. Tells us we want the absolute value of 5. So if we look at 5, how far is it from 0? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units from 0. The absolute value of 5 is 5. So what is the absolute value of negative 5? Again, I'm asking how far is it from 0? So how would we write it? We've got our negative 5 inside our two lines that tell me absolute value. I want the absolute value of negative 5. How far is it from 0? Count over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 5 is also 5 units from 0, but in the opposite direction. What you'll notice is the negative went away. I just want to know how far it is from 0. Don't tell me it's negative. It's 5 units from 0. All right, now I have a few examples for us to go over. This is what you would normally traditionally see on a homework sheet, and now we're going to do it here. When you come into class, we'll do some more activities to practice this. So here, these first 4, I just want to write an integer for each situation. So basically, I'm giving you a word phrase. What would that look like as a number, or what integer would represent this word phrase? So what we want to do is we want to look at the words that they're using and what does it mean. So here I have $10 earned. If I look at earned, it tells me that that is positive, meaning I gained something. So this would be a positive number. Do we need to write the positive symbol here? No. If there's no symbol, it is assumed to be a positive number. Now, I just wrote that there since we were writing them. I do not need that positive sign. It's an implied positive when there's nothing in front of it. All right, over here, I have 3 degrees below 0. Below tells me that it's going to be a negative integer. Below means I'm going down or I'm going backwards. It's going to be less than 0. 3 degrees below 0 would be a negative 3, how I would represent that with an integer. A loss of 5 pounds. Again, you see the word loss. When you hear loss, you think of negative or less. So how would I represent that? -5. An increase of 10 degrees. Increase tells me it's going up. It's going to be a positive number, positive 10. Again, you don't need to write the positive, but you can if you like to. So that's just writing the number based on the words that were given. All right, these next four we want to do is we want to write the opposite of each of these. Remember, the opposite is going to be the same digits from 0, but on the other side of our number line. So we need to think about what it's asking us here. Here I have -8. So the other side of the line would be my positive sign, which means the opposite of -8 is going to be +8. Here I have a 9. There's no symbol in front of it, meaning that it's a positive number. So I have a positive 9. What is the opposite of that going to be? Well, the other side of the number line would then be the negative side. So it would become a -9. Here's one, and I threw this in here because our workbook sometimes likes to throw these ones at us. Don't let these parentheses confuse you. Sometimes they do that just to let you know that they're denoting that it's a negative number. Sometimes they throw them in there just to see if they can confuse you or throw you off. They don't really mean anything here, so don't worry about them too much. Here I have 16. I have a negative in front of it. So what is the opposite of -16? That would be a +16. This is probably the most confusing one that we're going to look at here as we do it. What you'll notice is I have a negative sign and I have a second negative sign. Whenever you see a negative, you can also kind of think of it as opposite. So I want the opposite of -7. What is the opposite of -7? +7. That's what this number is saying. This is the same as +7. That's not my answer. This, the double negative, creates a positive. So what is the opposite of +7 then? That's right, it's a -7. And the last ones are simply finding our absolute value. That's what you'll notice. We have our lines around here. So they want to know what is the absolute value of each of these numbers. So here I have -7. It is inside my two lines that tell me absolute value. So what is the absolute value of -7? How far from 0 is -7? It is 7 digits from 0. Here I have a +6 in here. How far from 0 is +6? 6 digits. These last two are a little more complicated. So right now I want to ignore that other negative. Just look at our absolute value sign. What is the absolute value of -9, or how far from 0 is -9? Well, -9 is 9 digits from 0. However, I'm not done because you'll notice there's a negative outside of my absolute value sign. That needs to come back down and become a part of my answer because it was not within the absolute value sign. So this means basically I want the opposite of the absolute value of -9. What is the opposite of 9? -9. So again here, look, our negative sign is outside of our absolute value. So what we want to do is we want to take our absolute value, then add that negative sign back in. So I look at +5, I say how far is that from 0? 5 digits from 0. Then I'm going to take my negative sign, bring it back down, and keep it in my answer. Thank you for watching.